Peace to the family. Today I want to give a quick video on vitiligo and religious documents found out throughout the world. I'm mainly going to concentrate on the religions coming out of the ancient Near East, which will include Hebrew culture, biblical culture, and Quranic culture, Islamic culture, to a said degree. But first, let me give you a little background on vitiligo. Vitiligo is an autoimmune condition which is caused by the melanin being depigmented from the melanocytes and the dermal layer of the skin. Okay, so a little bit about melanin. Melanin is a chemical that is secreted by the pineal melanin gland, which is located in the center of the forehead. Hold on to that word, pineal, because you're going to see it again in Genesis 32, where Jacob wrestles with the angel and is transformed into Israel. So we could say that just as people are transformed physically by vitiligo, they're also changed spiritually by vitiligo. But in the Bible, it's noted as leprosy. It's a family of diseases that they're calling leprosy in the Bible, which include eczema, psoriasis, Hansen syndrome, leukodermia, melanomas, cancers as well. But this word melanos is black or very dark. It's a Greek word. You have three different types of melanin: eumelanin, phenomelanin, and alleomelanin. Okay, so this term vitiligo is a term which comes from Latin, two terms in Latin: vitium, which means blemish, and vitellis, which refers to the white patches on livestock, particularly on cows. All right. The Arabic term for vitiligo in modern lexicology, it would be leukia, which is akin to leukodermia. But in Quranic Arabic, it's more associated with the term baras. Of course, Arabic has three-letter stems to words, and baras is very similar to a surah in the Quran known as Al-Baqarah, which is the longest surah in the Quran, but it refers to a cow, a yellow cow to be specific, if I'm not mistaken. All right. This term in Hebrew is tazarat, which means white spots. In the Hebrew Savitra, the word is known as kilas, or polita, which means white and yellowish spots on the skin. Here again, we can see a lingual connection between the terms. Okay. This term in German is known as Weißfleckenscheid, Weißfleckenkrankheit, which means white spot syndrome. Okay. Vitiligo can be found as far back as the Ebers papyrus of 1500 BC in ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt. All right. Vitiligo in the Bible and in other Near Eastern terms, and even in Far Eastern literature, is associated with ritual uncleanliness, ritual impurity, right? Individuals with the condition are considered to be unclean. In the Buddhist tradition, people who had the condition are not allowed to be in the priesthood, and the data suggests that East Asia is the place where they have the highest concentration of vitiligo. Second would be the country of Jordan, which is partially part of the setting of the biblical narrative. Okay? Again, leprosy, lepos, Greek term meaning spot. Again, a collection of diseases that are all lumped in together and are called leprosy. So on to the meat of the subject. Where is leprosy or vitiligo found in the Bible? First, again, it can be found in Genesis 32, where Jacob wrestled with the angel all night. And this place was called Peniel, and he met God face to face, right? And he was changed into Israel, right? So it also appears in the book of Leviticus, or the Hebrew Bible. It's Vayikra, if I'm not mistaken. I think the name of the book in the Tanakh would be Vayikra. Okay, so Leviticus 13 has the laws concerning leprosy. And I think Leviticus 14, if I'm not mistaken, is how the priests dealt with people that have vitiligo. Don't take my word for it. Go look at it yourself, and you will see the extent of the ritual that these ancient Near Eastern people performed for people who had these skin conditions. It's absolutely amazing. It's a must read. You must read it. Okay, again, vitiligo appears in 2 Chronicles as a penalty for Uzziah's pride. Even though the king was condemned for the white patches, he had a maidservant, and they knew somebody. I think that the person was a Syrian, if my memory is not failing me at this point. His maidservant knew a Syrian that had a remedy for it. So he went and saw this person, and he became furious with the person, and the leprosy broke out on his forehead. It's kind of like the notion of trauma causing vitiligo caused vitiligo to flare up. Also in 2 Kings 5:1, Naaman was healed with the vitiligo, and Gehazi was punished for his greed. So just don't take my word for it. Just go read it yourself. 2 Kings 5:1 and 5:27. Again, in Exodus, the book of Exodus, we have the story of Moses when he received his calling Let's back up though. Moses put his hand into his breast and he drew his hand back out of his bosom. The word is bosom in the Bible. And when he drew his hand back out of his bosom, his hand turned white. And when he put it back in there, it turned black. Side note. So that's an indicator of the ethnicity of Moses. See, when we're looking at the Bible, we have to look at the Bible with a technique known as the hermeneutic of suspicion. That the writers of the Bible do not always state things explicitly, but they state them in a way in which whoever's reading the text, they bring everything that they have learned while they're examining the text. Okay, so another thing that you will see in the text, it says he drew his hand into his breast and it came out white as snow. Now we know that the setting of that book is Syria, Palestine, also ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet. If we just use a little bit of thinking, we can see that, you know, it doesn't snow regularly in that area of the world, but they still said it is white as snow. So where did that come into the text? Where was that word, and how did that analogy come into the text? It was redacted from some place in some time, and that language was put in there. We know it may snow once every 100 years in Egypt, but it's just something to think about. It's a hermeneutic of suspicion. Okay. It also appears in Numbers 12:10. Moses and his brother. Moses supposedly was a man that stuttered. And when God came to him, well, Yahweh or the deity came to him and said, hey, I got this mission for you. I got this calling that I'm putting on your life. And Moses said, how can I speak to these people? Because he found himself with a stammering tongue. So he sent his brother his brother Aaron to be his speaker for him, right? Which this also goes to the Levite line of priests. And the priest would be the people that would consider a person unclean, right? So it all goes back to this family. So we may deduce that it's a genetic trait, right? So anyway, Moses had married a Cushite woman. And when we say Cushite, we're talking about people from Ethiopia and southern Arabia, to be exact, right? So this Cushite woman, Moses' big sister, Miriam, did not want him to marry this woman. And then Moses got mad at her. And all of a sudden, Miriam turned white. We don't know whether this whiteness is albinism or vitiligo. Albinism is not so much considered to be, well, I don't know. Would it have been considered to be leprosy? But being that it turns a person white, I would dare say that it is included in that family of diseases in the ancient Near Eastern text that they're calling leprosy, right? Okay. And there's also a Quranic story in the Islamic world that when Musa was drawn out of the water by Pharaoh or Pharaoh's daughter. The daughter had vitiligo, but when she looked at Moses, she was healed from vitiligo. Beautiful story, beautiful story. Okay, so quickly about the Holy Quran and vitiligo. In the Quran, again, it's associated with two animals, the cow, al-Baqarah, and the camel, al-Jamal, right? And this cow, again, it goes back to that word velitum in Latin, with the specks of white on a cow, right? So also from hadiths, they talk about the camel, one camel with mange coming in and giving the rest of the other camels mange. So they felt as there was a reason to separate lepers from the rest of the community. But one of the Quranic scholars actually said that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went amongst the lepers and he touched the lepers because of his trust in Allah or the deity. So it made it permissible for people to be amongst the lepers, right? And the story about that camel was they said that Allah created the malady that affected the camel. So to not accept the camels with the manes would be like not respecting Allah, who is the creator of all things. Allah Azza wa Jalal. Okay. Right? So, in closing, I'll just say this. If you're a person that has vitiligo, you love somebody that has vitiligo, that was 3 major prophets. That's Musa, Moses, Isa, Jesus, Muhammad, that all preached acceptance and gentleness to people who suffer with different skin ailments. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it sparks an interest in you to do some research for yourself about the subject and to share this information with other people. It's not my intention to defamate anybody's way of life or religion. I'm just looking at it from a literary point of view. Okay, so if you get anything from this, help me to grow my channel. Like, subscribe, and share the video. My information is on this YouTube channel. If you ever need me, reach out to me. If you need somebody to lecture about the subject, I'm available. With that, I say peace, and everyone have a blessed and wonderful day.